All right, Mr. Smith spent 74 hours making 9 videos for class. If he spent the same amount of time on each video, how many hours did he spend making each video? So I'm going to start by circling my key numbers here. So I have 74 hours and 9 videos. I'm going to go ahead and underline the main question here. So the question is, how many hours did he spend making each video? All right. Now there's a couple words in here that might clue us in to the operation we need to use in this problem, and that is same amount. So we're going to be wanting to put things in groups that have the same amount. Another clue to the operation we're going to need to use for this problem is we already know the total. So Mr. Smith spent a total of 74 hours. And so since we have a total, and we're going to be taking that total and putting that total into the same amount in each group, we're going to be using division. So we're going to put the total in the house and make 74 our dividend. And then we're going to divide that dividend by 9. So the 74 represents the total number of hours Mr. Smith spent making the videos. And the 9 represents the number of videos he made. So I'm going to divide 74 by 9. And I'm going to start digit by digit in the dividend. So looking at my digit 7, I know that I cannot make a group of 9 out of my 7 because there's not a multiple of 9 that's close to 7 without being larger than 7. So I'm going to extend my problem to include the 4. So now I'm asking myself, is there a multiple of 9 close to 74 without being bigger than 74? And there is, 72. And so 9 goes into 74 8 times. And 8 times 9 gives us 72. And the difference between 72 and 74 is 2. And so the answer to this division problem is 8 remainder 2. We need to go back to the problem here and ask ourselves, have we found out how many hours Mr. Smith spent making each video? And if I look at 8 remainder 2, that doesn't really tell me how many hours he spent. Because I've never really heard of a remainder 2 of an hour. I've heard of 8 hours, but 8 remainder 2 hours doesn't make a lot of sense. So what can I do in this situation? Well, this is actually a situation where we are going to share the remainder. So we're actually going to use the remainder as part of our answer here. So how do we do that? Well, we've actually been doing this in class, and all we need to do is we need to change our remainder into a fraction. So we just need to change, and I'm not sure what's going on here. We need to change our remainder into a fraction. So how do we change a remainder into a fraction? Well, it's really, really simple. You just take the remainder and you put it on top of your divisor. It's really that easy. So our remainder is 2. Our divisor is 9. And so we put that all together. We have 8 and 2/9. And that makes a little more sense because we think about time and fractions all the time. Half an hour, quarter till 2. So fractions and time make sense because we have whole hours, but we have time that's in between the hours. So if we look at our quotient, we look at our remainder, we've changed the answer into a mixed number now with 8 next to the fraction 2/9. And so now we have an answer that makes sense. So how many hours did he spend making each video? Well, he spent 8 and 2/9 hours on each video. So this is an example of a situation where you need to share the remainder, aka also known as turn the remainder into a fraction. Smiley face.